So as we already have seen the development of the vaccination data in European countries through the last weeks, we now want to have a straight comparison of what is the status now and visualize that in histogram. To do that, I have created the histogram tutorial for you. Basically, we are just looking at the same data as we have looked at in the line graph. So there's not too much of a change in this read and look at values file. And this is now the new part. We are just basically cutting a little bit short here. We do not take the vaccination per week by country. We are just mass added up and have the percentage of the population over all of the time. So we have the final value of how many people are actually vaccinated with their first dose. So you can see that the x-axis is again a little changed. Now this time it's not the weeks, it is the countries, and we are using the same trick as last time. We're creating a series of placeholder numbers now from 0 to 30, and we do that to 30 because we want to have 31 values and cutting out the last one, because for the histogram the start will be on the left and we will have a certain thickness that will extend a little more to the right, so we don't want to have the last value on the very end of the graph. The y-axis is, however, the same as last time, as the percentage does not go any higher than 37.5 in the values. So as there's not really much more new, we can now look at what the histogram node here will do. We will need the x-axis points. Those are the starting points of the countries. And we will need A, which is our value, the percentage, and the y factor, which again is the scaling in y direction to create or to move the value inside of our graph domain. Then we are having to make the decision of x or y. We give it 1, so we want to have it on y. We could also have it on x, then it would not be from bottom to top, but from left to right. And we could have a share, but we will come to that in the next video. For now, the last value will be the width. And what we will get out of this is basically a lot of points and lines, and the length and width. And for now, the most important part is actually just the rectangle. Let's look at this. Those are the points we're getting out and the rectangles of the histogram. So let's look inside the histogram node. The first thing we have to do, as always, is check for nulls. And if there are no items, we just give it a 1 so that this whole thing is working with something. This goes for the share. So the input that we will discuss in the next one. So for now, we're just taking the value of 1 because we're not partitioning these bars. We are having these points here, which are our starting points, and we are having a y vector length, which is the dimension, and we are able to now split this. We don't now, and now we have to do some number crunching. For starters, this one we will look at next time, and this is to move the points in the right direction. What that means is we are able, as I have told you before, to do it in X or in Y direction, and we can filter that from here and have our length calculated down here. And this is basically just some choosing of the right numbers. What we're doing is moving the point up. So then again, it's quite simply only drawing a line from up there. We might use this line later on, and we give it out. We also give out the point from up there. That's always useful. And then we create a rectangle, which is the surface that we most often will use. And here we again have the switch of X or Y and give in the X and Y dimension, while X here is always 30, Y is the Y vector that we give into it, and this will create the rectangle. So as we get outside of that, that's basically all we have to do to create this, and then we will give it over to the same graphic process as we always have. Create a hatch, give it some color by the length of the list with random numbers, and give it some attributes, create the hatch, turn the preview on, and we see that these are the bars for the countries. And we still see here Finland has the most vaccinations here by 37.5. Second now is Lithuania. No, I think it's Portugal. Might be a little higher. We could now also, of course, use tag flags to write somewhere up here how large this number actually is. That would be the same process as we did it in the last videos. And as we look here again, we will see that there's no data for the Netherlands, so that's not on our side. But overall, we have a quite clear image of what the vaccination data on a certain date looked like. So as I already mentioned, we can now crank this game a little up and partition the hell out of these bars.